It's another day, the sun is shining. Got to know what's going on around you. Wake up, it's the time to motivate your mind. Come with me, let's make this moment brighter. Wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise. Come on and wake up with the Bahamas at sunrise.
Good morning and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you. I'm Philip Simon.
And of course, it's a pleasure to be back in your company. We hope that you enjoyed your first Freedom Weekend. Certainly by the looks of some of the videos making their rounds through WhatsApp, so many of you did, Phil.
Apparently we handled freedom very well.
Yeah, I will tell you that, for me, of course, being in the state that I'm in, I did not do anything over the weekend. Didn't go out on Friday, didn't go out on Saturday. I did make an effort to just take a drive. Yesterday, I had to collect someone from the airport, and that led me on the road. And I can tell you that, people were out en masse.
Yeah, it was like a holiday actually. And, every place that I passed was, you see the cars, you see the people, everybody, something in the atmosphere. It was freedom.
They certainly were free from those masks as well. I don't recall seeing many of them. The ones that I did see, of course, were not being properly used. And so it's going to be interesting times to see how we manage this newfound freedom, how that interaction will develop over the next 2 weeks in terms of results that we see. We did get one increase over the weekend in COVID positive tests, and then to combine that with the fact that we'll be reopening the borders in about 2 weeks, and that's about the same time that we'll be having an influx of persons in from the U.S., where we know the numbers are continuing to grow. So it's definitely interesting times.
But that will be the real test right there in about 2 weeks. Like you said, when we open up our borders and we start receiving visitors that might be asymptomatic, but at the same time, still traveling, temperatures might be fine, but time they get here, you just never know. And of course, once we open up the borders, then obviously we're going to be pretty much open once again. And who knows? In some places I heard over the weekend, they're having already second waves. And I thought I might have been mishearing, over the radio as well, that they were talking about a new virus or a second wave of virus in Beijing, China. Did you hear anything like that?
I did not hear that. I'm going to have to make sure that I Google it so that by the time Mitchell comes, I can give a proper opinion on it. I do know that I hadn't heard about a second strain of no strain that they've not seen yet of the virus. I do know that I read some stuff about a week ago on possible second waves in China. Nothing at the time stood out to me in particular, but we do know that this is something that, of course, people were hoping would go away with the summer conditions, and yet has not yet gone away. And so it's going to be just interesting to watch it unfold. It really has done some unprecedented things for us, and in our Caribbean region, there are still so many people that are insisting on testing before you come, testing at the borders when you come. Cayman and Antigua come to mind. And even making sure that you isolate in the hotel for 2 weeks, even if that wasn't in your original plans. And so we're going to have to see how we make the adjustment. Of course, Bahamas are making the announcement that they're not going to open until the fall. And I guess that might be to give them some time to figure out and see what happens with the results that do open prior to that time.
Correct. And I think they're betting that, usually summer is a kind of a slow period, especially when you get into the September period. So I think they're probably dotting all I's and crossing all T's in preparation, managing costs as well. So we'll see what happens. But again, new week. It's a new week. We've got another great show lined up for you. The BEST Commission is in the house. They're talking about their new BEST Protect 242 app. We'll be talking with the acting director all about that. Atlantic Medical, the guys are back. They have an upcoming mental health webinar in our Zest Wellness segment.
Looking forward to both of those segments. I'm also really looking forward talking with Merit Store from Providence Law. Of course, Merit has been guiding us through the legalities of this lockdown. So it's going to be good talking with him this morning about how far we've come, how far we think we've got left to go. That's going to be a great conversation with Merit Store. And then, interestingly enough, I'm going to be talking with Dr. Robin Roberts today. As we look back over COVID-19 and what we've seen so far in statistics, it really has actually been affecting men more so than women. And so this is an interesting conversation that we're going to have about men's health and why that is. So I'm looking forward to that conversation as well. But this week is also Father's Day, Phil. And so if I don't get to tell you before, happy Father's Day to you and to all of the men out there, including my own husband, Carlos Palacios, who has just been such a blessing, especially during this hard season. I'm grateful and appreciative of him and my father-in-law, James Palacios. So happy Father's Day to them and to my granddad as well. I know I'm early, but I will be around on Friday. So wanted to tell them that. And we're going to remind you that we want you to give us those Father's Day shout-outs. You can send a message to our inbox on Facebook. Of course, we're on Facebook at Bahamas at Sunrise. Or if you'd like to send a video clip or a photo just talking about why you love your dad or granddad, you can do that also by sending it to sparker@tclbahamas.com. That's sparker@tclbahamas.com. And we do want you to caption that in a video for us. Nothing long. We're going to put it all together. And one lucky person will get a chance to win a great prize. So we're looking forward to hearing from all of you.
Yeah, you kind of glossed over that, but in case the viewers didn't get that, this may be the week, right? This may be the week.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It's definitely the week that I am my last show for this time before I go into my maternity leave. And so we're going to see what happens. My son is taking his time and making his entrance into the world. And so I'm willing to give him the time that he needs.
No doubt about it. But listen, we're going to miss you and enjoy the I almost want to say a break, but it's not a break. It's hard work all over again, right? Hard work all over again.
But here's Godfrey Burnside with our first look at weather.
Weather at Sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First. First in insurance, today, tomorrow.
Thank you, Star, and good morning, Bahamas. In your first look at weather sunrise, we had a dead wet weekend. We expect another set of rain, just periods of rain during the next couple of days. So expect for some rain. Take the rain gear with you for the remainder of the week. And we start getting much better by the weekend. For the most part, we have rich tropical moisture streaming in across the islands, along with mid-level troughing. And that's going to cause showers and thunderstorms to pop up throughout the week, for the most part, and cause flooding in low-lying areas. Today, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, a little hot and humid, with scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms, one or two becoming heavy at times. Those thunderstorms can be strong to severe at times. High temperature reaching 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies again with a few scattered showers, isolated thunderstorms, low going into 79 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's some region highs and lows across the Caribbean. Barbados 83 and 79. In Jamaica 84 and 74. In Trinidad 85 and 77. And the Turks and Caicos Islands 88 and 78. Across North America, Atlanta 1865. In Raleigh 77-67. In Miami 88 and 78. Dallas, Texas 98 and 75. And Toronto, Canada 64 and 57. As we go the next 5 days, troughing continues and that unstable atmosphere with showers and thunderstorms across the islands from Grand Bahama in the north to Naga in the southeast. And we can have some severe ones at times during the daytime. And like I said, will cause flooding in low-lying areas. So mostly cloudy into Friday with some partly sunny skies coming on the weekend. Temperature daytime will be in the upper 80s, at nighttime in the mid to upper 70s. That puts her up your first look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Bahamas at Sunrise. Be back after a short commercial break.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. That sure was short enough for us to be back on the show. We're with the Bahamas Environment, Science, and Technology Commission, who's celebrating the launch of a new Best Protect 242 app. Very pleased to have the acting director of the Best Commission, Ms. Rochelle Newbold, in the studio via Zoom. Rochelle, you are teasing us all with that background, man.
That's right. I'm hanging out here at the beach, enjoying the waves and the patter of the rain. all virtually, that is, all virtually.
All virtual. Well, listen, welcome back to the show. It's been a long time. And of course, the Best Commission is still very much busy, even during this COVID season.
That's correct. That's correct. We're always trying to keep the environment at the forefront and doing our best to be great stewards of it.
Yeah. Well, for those who may not be as familiar with the Best Commission, just define a little bit the commission and the work that you do.
Well, the Best Commission is an organization within the Ministry of Environment and Housing. Our original mandate was to deal with matters relative to environmental development and environmental multilateral agreements that the government signed on to. So in short, most Bahamians would know us from the various EIAs and EMPs that we do for development, and that's when we are more actively involved with Bahamians. But a lot of the things that we do behind the scenes, and of course now at home, my dog was ready to get into the commercial as well. But we also deal with a lot of the international environmental agreements that are of aid to our national agenda as well.
Okay, well, that's pretty heavy. I mean, obviously, you're at the forefront. That would be not just any development, but anything to do with the environment, whether it involves a big part of the Atlantis and the Bahamas, or even small, well, we might call them small issues, but certainly things that would have to do, I know from my perspective, whether it's water, whether it's the earth, whether it's trees, all of these things fall kind of within the purview of the Best Commission. Is that correct?
That's correct, but I want to also give notice to the Bahamian people that there is a change on the horizon. Last year in December, a new act was passed that brought into fruition the Department of Environmental Protection and Planning. And it would now be the remit of that agency to deal more in keeping with what we're familiar with, EIAs, EMPs, much like your EPA. That would be the organizational rule.
In the United States of America. Gotcha. Right, but you guys have launched a new app. You're calling it Best Protect 242.
That's correct. So moving along with the issue of technology in our name, we have launched this June an app, Best Protect 242, which will allow individuals to be an environmental roving reporter or environmental snitch, whichever one you prefer. Individuals can in real time take photos, take videos of an environmental issue of concern, and that would be sent directly to us for us to verify and investigate. The problem we were having was that a lot of people were making reports or claims that we could not verify, or by the time that we got there, individuals had sought to redress it in some way. And this is a particularly a good device for especially our family members in the family islands. If you're in Ragged Island and someone's doing something, by the time central government gets down there, the damage has been done. I mean, if we had known much earlier, maybe there was something that could be done to at least, if not limit the impacts or really address it immediately.
Well, that's quite interesting. The thing that immediately popped into my mind was, the crime tipsters type of line.
Yeah, actually it is.
But from an environmental perspective, so literally with the app, you can upload, whether it's a video, a picture, an audio of whatever it is that's happening.
Yes, you can. And we strongly encourage, because I know in practical terms, if I ask my husband to take a photo of something, the issue of concern isn't always the thing at the center of the photo, right? So it's kind of a little catch game, but it also allows you to give some comments so that you can identify what the issue is of concern, because sometimes people take photos of things and they're far away and it's hard for us to identify. And I say that because as I see people are starting to use the app, when we look at the photos, it's in some of them, it's really difficult to determine what the issue is. So there's a comment box that would be there for people to type in what's going on. But yes, it's a real-time click or record and we get it. And the key thing here though is GPS.
Okay.
A real-time locator. Do not send me something that's happening in Trinidad or Jamaica and claim that it's happening in the Bahamas. That GPS is going to let us know where this is happening.
All right. Well, that's excellent. And when we talk about environmental issues, what exactly should people be targeting? Because I can imagine you probably get a slew of different types of things.
Great point. Do not send us the issue of the dilapidated car or the garbage in the back of your neighbor's yard. No, those are things that are dealt with by another agency. What we are dealing with are matters relative to the environment. If people are clear-cutting land, if somebody is smuggling out an endemic species such as the Bahama parrot or our iguanas, or there's some illegal fishing going on during a closed season event, those are the type of things. If somebody's polluting something, if people are pouring, like people are digging a hole, if you have a garage and then they just pour all their oil down that hole, stuff like that. Those are the things that we are more interested in addressing.
And of course, some people don't want to be known when they make these complaints. It might be a sensitive issue or a sensitive connection there. Does the app allow?
The app allows you to submit anonymously, and the app allows you to give an indication of who you are. Now, there are trade-offs for both, right? So if you submit something anonymously, that means that while the app will verify you or give you an indication that your information has been sent, it does not allow us to then go back to you and say, hey, I'm not sure what this was, what are you referring to, and give them an update as to say, we got this, we're on it, we're going to be dealing with it. If you set up an account whereby you will be sending us stuff, you can be assured that when we go to investigate, we won't be saying, well, Simon sent this photo in and he said you were doing X, Y, or Z. But it will give us the ability to be able to come back to you and either get a question answered or to give you a little bit of an update as to what has gone on since you submitted the app. But I also want to be clear when I say give you an update. It won't be that we are going to be reporting to you each step of the way, but at least you now know that it's verifiable, it's in the hands of a human, and a human is going to be following up on the issue.
Okay, good. And when you say following up, what is, I mean, without being lengthy, of course, what is the process of the investigation? What happens next?
Well, it will always depend on what it is you're reporting on. If you say, for instance, somebody has gone into the pine coppice in one of our pine islands and they just cleared down a whole slew of trees and then they walked away. Well, what that means is now we have to investigate who is the owner of the land, if they have received any permits for any building activities that are supposed to occur on that land, because I'd like the Bahamian people to know the pine trees are protected. If you seek to develop in an area where there are a lot of pines, you must get a permit. That permit would either allow you to clear the land down, or it would come with various stipulations, such as that you would have to plant for every one pine tree you take down 2 additional pine trees, or you would have to do some other environmental benefits to counteract the devastation of the removal of the trees, because those trees play a part in the ecology and in the environmental balance that we must maintain in the attempt to be sustainable. We can't just go around clearing down a whole bunch of stuff. Or, for instance, if people are smuggling out our iguanas or our Bahama parrots, and this is something that has occurred over and over again, and it's brought international attention to the Bahamas, because I want people to understand, when someone comes and gives you that slow 50 or whatever they're calling it, right? When they turn around and sell those animals, they sell them for tens of thousands of dollars, right? The reason they go through this whole effort of doing it is because we are the only ones in the world with these animals. And individuals who like to have the only Picasso or the only this, they spend big money for that. So not only are they taking advantage of you 2 ways, in that you're going through an Esau moment there, but they're also trying to develop a way of breeding those animals so that they can now cut you out as the middleman and sell them. And if tourism, COVID-19 is going to really tell us if tourism remains our number 1 or if it's going to drop down to our number 2. But if we have something that people around the world are desirous of seeing, let's keep it here. God put it here. We ought to be good stewards of that. So if an individual sends us something like that, then we have to then follow through. It'll involve our international partners to get involved. So there's a whole scheme of things that follow based on what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, final question, Rochelle. Of course, some people may still prefer to call in or email. How can they do that?
Well, of course, calling in and email is always an option. But as I said, when you have the evidence, and the evidence can be, it's more compelling, especially for those in the family islands. real-time, snap, submit, bam, we got it. You send us an email, you send us a phone call, that works a lot. If you send us an email, we will contact our local representatives, our counterparts in the Family Islands, and ask them to go and check it out. If you give us a call, we have to assume it's probably in Nassau, or we're going to have to take a couple days to get ready to go and investigate it. The app is just a much more efficient way of dealing with it, and it provides the documentation that would be needed to follow through.
Okay, well, listen, thank you so much, Rochelle, for being here on Bahamas at Sunrise. Maybe we'll have to join you at the beach real soon, man. I tell you, you're wrong for that background right there.
I'm going to take a tip, put my toes in it. Okay, guys.
All right, thank you. Rochelle Newbold, Acting Director of the Bahamas Best Commission. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
Do you want to know more about the scriptures, the early Christian church, its teachings, suffering, other religions, the authenticity of the Bible? The Anglican Theological Institute is for you. Enroll in a 3-year certificate program. Classes are conducted from Nassau and Freeport on Saturday mornings. Don't miss a class. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with high-speed internet. Contact us at 603-2481. Visit our Facebook page. Pick up an application form at any Anglican church or at Addington House on Sands Road. The Anglican Theological Institute is for you.
He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Sun Oil, caring, invested, committed.
As disruptive technologies go, nothing has shaken up the economy more than the smartphones. Apps have completely changed the way we book taxi rides, accommodation, and food delivery. Business sectors that previously had no digital footprint are now synonymous with technology. While names like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Just Eat, and Deliveroo are household names around the world, on-demand business touches many other areas of life. Enterprises are trying to find ways to engage users to their services. Businesses will be forced to connect with their customers with a personalized effect. The complex user behavior needs to be tackled with enhanced conversation and better engagement. Though each of the on-demand business is different, there are elements of commonality which forms the basis of technology stack. Business and entrepreneurs just need to focus on their business operations, not technology. JungleWorks is providing complete tech stack on subscription model to help businesses grow.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, the Zest Wellness Colonial Group Insurance has been keeping you abreast of health and fitness information even during the COVID-19 lockdown. And this week, they're bringing you a mental health webinar. Here to talk with us about that, we're very happy to welcome Donovan Ingram. You know him well from our show, of course. He's the Corporate Wellness Manager with AMI. And he's also got my good friend, Dr. Janet Martin. So happy to see her beautiful face in the place today. And she's got behavioral fitness. And we're going to be talking with both of them about this entire concept of mental health, of course, June being Mental Health Awareness Month, and what that means for us, especially those of us who've been through this COVID-19 period. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to Bahamas and Sunrise.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stasia.
It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, Donovan, I want to get right into it. I want you to first just give me some general details about this upcoming mental health panel webinar.
Well, I'd like to say, first of all, that this is not just a mental health webinar. This is a Zest Wellness webinar. So, I mean, we will astound you. We will blow you out of the water, and we're going to educate you. We want it to be thought-provoking. We have a great set of panelists available for us. Dr. John Martin, one of our presenters today. But also, we have presenters from a clinical psychologist from Bermuda. Her name is Dr. Sharita Reyna, and then also a clinical psychologist from the Cayman Islands, Dr. Alexandria Bowden. So these three women are going to come together, and they're going to educate us on ways in which we can empower ourselves, and that's why it's called Empowering Tomorrow. The webinar is actually scheduled for this Wednesday, the 17th of June, and it's at 2 p.m. For information, I'm sure there's some information on the screen, but if you need more information, we'll give you that information on how to register. Our intent, though, is to educate persons on all aspects of mental health. You know, the world has changed since COVID-19, and even with the social injustice that's recently been happening, everyone's mindset needs to kind of be reset. And the post-traumatic stress syndrome is something that's big right now. We know a lot of persons are going to be impacted by COVID-19. And so we thought it important to have a mental health webinar so persons could address these issues and not run away from the facts of what's going on with them.
Yeah, and it's certainly critical. So many people, whether the disease has impacted them directly or impacted their jobs and livelihoods, I'm sure have been struggling with so many things. And you're right, constant exposure to the media during this time might not have been helpful either. So certainly a lot to be discussed in this whole concept. And so, Dr. Martin, I come to you now. What's the meaning of mental health, and should everyone be concerned about it? We know that there's been some stigma attached to that here in our country. So could you kind of break that down for us?
Sure, not a problem at all, Star. All of us, when we talk about mental health, it affects every human being that's living, actually. So it's really not, there are illnesses attached to our mental well-being, but really mental health is important to all of us because it affects our physical health, our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, because we incorporate all of that, mind, body, and spirit. So our mental health simply looks at the state of a person's psychological, emotional, and social well-being, whether you're well-adjusted, you're adjusting well to whatever challenges that you're facing, whether it's this COVID-19, post-COVID-19, or prior to COVID-19. So it really, our mental health state always looks at how we think, how we feel, how we communicate, how we express ourselves in our social environment, starting in the home with our loved ones, persons close to us, and then beyond and outside of the home. How we handle stressors, how we handle the stresses of what's going on today with COVID-19. We know that a lot of persons are going to have to deal with many disappointments. Some things that they hadn't even thought they would have to deal with at this time. But, what coping strategies do we have? Do we have resiliency built up from past, dealing with past stresses, past challenges, and what strategies we use to get over and to adapt to the ever-changing times, because we're going to face them and we're facing them now. So really, our mental health looks at how we handle stress, how we relate to others during times of stress, the choices we make during those times, and how all of that determines our mental health.
Wow, that certainly is a lot, and I'm assuming you'd be covering a lot of that, of course, in your conversation this Wednesday at 2 p.m., including those coping mechanisms, which you know can be really important. Donovan, what else can we expect from the program? Because, of course, this is a success program. I know that means you all are going to have some surprises in there for us. We'll obviously have the brilliance of people like Dr. Martin, but what else can we expect from your team?
Well, during the actual live webinar, we will have some audience interaction questions. So as the audience are listening, we will be posing some questions to them. We have a lot of factfulness that we're going to provide to them, a lot of guidance, a lot of support. We want to uplift person's spirit through these conversations. Definitely, if individuals miss the webinar, we will record it, and we will make sure that they can access it on our YouTube pages. We also we'll make sure that they can access it from our wellness blog. But certainly, we encourage persons to sign up, register, and attend, because it's nothing like living in the moment.
Definitely. Well, Dr. Martin, one of the last questions I want to ask you before we go is, I've heard people use this word uncertainty again and again. We're just not certain about the future. We don't know. And I think for a lot of people, that's been causing a lot of mental anxiety, because we prefer to be in control. We prefer to have set things happen. We know when they will happen. What are some of the coping mechanisms we can use to deal with uncertainty?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Each experience comes with its own set of challenges. And for this one, we're talking about COVID-19 in particular. So each experience has its own value, and we need not close our eyes to what's going on. And what I say to persons is, accept where you are right now. Know that this is what's happening. You cannot go back to the past. The past is done. So accept where you are now. I know in accepting, it makes you very vulnerable. And these are some unstable times that we're in. But we are a Christian nation. We believe in a God who is stronger. And so I say to persons, draw from your strength, begin there. Accept where you are, draw from your strength. And we have to make a mindset change. We have to mentally focus on accepting where we are and moving forward. So I say practice mindfulness. Be still. Don't talk so much. Be informed, but not overly informed, because that stimulates the mind and brings anxiety. And you want to be still, you want to listen, you want to go in prayer, and you want to clothe yourself with as much information that you need to make the next decision. So to move forward step by step, mindfully, focus, and quietly. Shut out the noise, and in order to do that, you have to be still. So be still. When you're still, you can think. You can evaluate your next decision, and then your resources come to mind, and then you get your support and strength. And your strength always comes from a stable God, but his ways of ministering to us is always different. And so when you're still, you're able to hear and to move forward.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. Just a taste of what's to come on Wednesday. And so, of course, how can we get registered, Donovan? Please let us know right now how we can sign up for this amazing webinar that will take place this Wednesday.
Okay, for all of us on social media, you can follow us on social media at Zest Wellness CGI, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. But most definitely on our wellness blog, that's www.zestwellnesscgiblog.com. There are registration links there. If not, you can send us an email. That's zestwellnessami@atlantichouse.com.bs.
All right, great. Well, listen, looking forward to our wonderful webinar this Wednesday. Congratulations to both of you. And I'm sure the information that will be shared will be incredibly timely, as anything is done by Atlantic Medical. And so we thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Star. Have a good one.
Thank you, Star.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
You all do the same. You're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
At Doctors Hospital, we recognize the concerns you may have about the coronavirus. Here are a few of the critical things you need to know. Coronaviruses are a large group of viruses that are common among animals, however, can be transmitted from animals to humans. Coronavirus can present itself similar to a common cold, with symptoms such as cough, sore throat, and fever. For those with a weakened immune system, including the elderly, there is a chance that the virus may cause more serious respiratory illness like pneumonia. Human coronaviruses most commonly spread from an infected person to others through the air by coughing and sneezing, close personal contact such as shaking hands, touching an object or surface with the virus on it, followed by touching your mouth, nose, or eyes with unwashed hands. There are currently no vaccines available to protect you against human coronavirus. However, you can limit your vulnerability by taking precautions to prevent transmission. Doctors Hospital, trusted and best care now. Isn't your health worth it?
Business in the Box is your solution for business from Cable Bahamas. It's an internet, voice, mobile, and advertising solution all in one place. Get reliable internet, free domestic call, and a live corporate package, and free TV ad placement, all starting with packages as low as $164 a month. You can save over $3,000 a year. Just call 601-8911. That's 601-8911. And ask for Business in a Box from Cable Bahamas Business Solution. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. We're at the halfway point on this marvelous Monday. I'm Anastasia Palacios.
I'm Philip Simon.
And of course, thank you for staying with us. It's been a very informative morning, Phil. You had a great conversation about that new BAS Commission Act.
You know, it's a great idea. A great idea. You know, it's something, it reminded me of something we were trying to do years ago with something called We the People, if you recall that movement that lasted a couple of years. We the People wasn't quite ready for We the People, but one of the things we wanted to do was to have an app where persons could report anything. It didn't have to be environmental. It could be anything of note, whether it's a street light that was out or a pothole that was destroying cars, and then be able to send that to the relevant or the competent authority to get it resolved. But good work that the Best Commission is doing down there. Rochelle, as you can see, she's passionate about what she does, and she has a very good team.
Yeah, they certainly are on it, and hopefully, of course, that it will work out the way that they intended. I love the idea that, with such a centralized government in this instance, sometimes our family islands can feel slightly neglected, and so this gives them the opportunity to kind of be more involved indirectly, and that's the beauty of technology and the way that it's transforming how we work and how we conduct business. And so, yeah, great stuff with the Best Commission, and of course, congratulations to their team. I, of course, had a great conversation with Atlantic Medical, always good stuff happening with their Access to Wellness program, and so that should be a really good mental health seminar coming up this Wednesday. But we've still got some of the second half of the show as well. Looking forward to learning more about the emergency powers and the budget when we have this conversation with Merit Store and Providence Law Chambers in just a few minutes.
Yeah, no doubt. In fact, and we had also last week a very good conversation on the Financial Voice. Had an opportunity to listen to that. We'll also have Dr. Robin Robert, but he'll be back and be talking about the impact that COVID-19 has had on men's health. Should be a very interesting dialogue there, Star. But let's take a second look now at weather at sunrise with Mr. Godfrey Burnside.
Weather at sunrise, brought to you by Bahamas First in Insurance, today, tomorrow.
Good morning, Bahamas. Yes, second look at weather sunrise. First look at the tropics. The tropics remain quiet, and tropical storm formation expected during the next 5 days. On the local scene, still have rich tropical moisture streaming across the islands. Also, it's a mid-level troughing, and that's going to cause some showers and thunderstorms, some becoming heavy at times across the islands into probably Thursday, Friday, and it looks like a pretty good weekend still weather-wise. In your marine forecast today, those winds variable at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over northwest and central Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the southeastern islands. Come tomorrow, those will be variable 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over the northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over the central and southeastern islands. Then on Wednesday, winds continue variable at 10 knots or less, seas less than 3 feet over northwest Bahamas, east to southeast at 10 to 15 knots, sea 2 to 4 feet over central Bahamas, but those winds will be east to southeast over 15 knots, sea 3 to 5 feet over the southeastern islands. Yeah, tides. You can expect a low tide at 10:24 this morning. Next high tide will be at 4:45 this afternoon. Low again tonight at 2 minutes past 11. Sunset will be 8:01 this evening. Rises more 6:20. UV index 8. Your water temperature 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Honeymoon phase last quarter. Extended look. Cloudy skies to remain the week, becoming partly cloudy by Friday and partly sunny by the weekend. Temperature daytime will be in the mid to upper 80s at daytime, mid to upper 70s at nighttime, and you do expect those showers and thunderstorms, some becoming heavy at times. That puts you up on your final look at weather at sunrise. I'm Godfrey Burnside. Back to you, Phil.
Thank you very much, Godfrey. Although I'm not in the studio looking very dapper this morning, my brother, as always. Parliament is currently debating the 2020-21 budget, but before the budget debate began, Parliament passed a resolution on the Thursday, ending the emergency powers in the Bahamas until the end of this month of June. The emergency powers arose from a proclamation of the Governor General made back on the 17th of March 2020 because of the COVID-19 global pandemic. The emergency powers order therefore continues despite what you might see on the street, and it is in effect. Here to discuss this with us this morning is Merit Store, Managing Providence Law. Good morning, Merit. Welcome back to the show.
Morning, Phil. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. I see you're still in active lockdown mode there with the...
Yeah, I can get cleaned up this week.
Listen, man.
Barbershops open today.
They open today. Right? Despite what we've been seeing, especially over the last couple of days, the emergency orders are still in effect, right? And the extension of these orders by law is still justified, correct?
Yeah, the emergency powers are still in effect. What has happened is that the competent authority has exercised its discretion to relax some of the restrictions that we were currently under. So it has been lawfully extended, and for it to have been lawfully extended, it needed to be passed through Parliament by a resolution. So a resolution has been passed by both houses of Parliament that extends the emergency orders until the end of the month of June. So despite the fact that there has been a lot of relaxation, the competent authority still has the power to do a number of things, even though it has chosen not to, and is relaxing restrictions.
Okay, I mean, it's been a lot of debate about the power entrusted into the competent authority, but what exactly does that authority still have at his disposal? And can these lockdowns be reinstated?
Yeah, as I just said, the competent authority, which in this instance is the Prime Minister, still retains all of the power that it ever had, or that he ever had from this was originally instated back in March. What has happened is that the competent authority has determined that the public health emergency that we were experiencing is at a point now where we can begin to relax some of the very severe restrictions. So even though lockdowns have just been lifted this past weekend and the curfew is no longer 24 hours, it's only 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., should there be theoretically a resurgence in cases, and I say theoretically, but we're seeing in other parts of the world that this can happen, should there be a resurgence in cases, the competent authority still retains the legal power to reinstate whatever measures he deems or it deems necessary in the interest of public health.
Okay. And you said legal power there, and of course this has been debated. I mean, some people say, well, how can this be legal when it seems to be contrary to the democratic principles our country is founded upon? Do you consider the emergency orders as being something that gives the competent authority dictatorial powers?
Yes, I would say yes. Firstly, let me acknowledge and agree that the powers given to the competent authority do generally seem contrary to the democratic principles under which we operate. I will say that in practice, that even though the competent authority has all of this power vested in one individual, I think in practice he is consulting with his cabinet colleagues, and they're still making decisions in that regard. However, yes, it is difficult because we're not used to this. We normally enjoy the freedoms that normally come along with a democratic society. But what we need to recall is that the framers of our Constitution did, under Article 29, allow for emergency powers under certain specific circumstances. Those circumstances include war, natural disasters, and public health emergencies. And those powers are there because it is determined that there are times when, in the public interest, power needs to be concentrated and decisions need to be made quickly, and certain freedoms need to be suspended in the public interest. The key thing there is that it's supposed to be for a defined period of time. You'll know that we've had a number of extensions. He has to keep going back and getting 30-day extensions. And should we be beyond a public health emergency, then it would be difficult to justify any further extension of those emergency powers. So those powers are supposed to go away once it's determined that the emergency has passed.
Yeah. And tell you what, I mean, we're still not even quite sure that the emergency is passed, and we're not sure whether or not the emergency will reemerge, so to speak. But let's shift focus just for a split second here. On the 27th of May, the Minister of Finance presented his annual budget communication to the House of Assembly. We do this every year, Why does the government do it every year? And is it just a voluntary attempt to be transparent?
Right. As we know, all governments before they enter office, they normally have declarations about how transparent they're going to be, etc. Once they get into office, it becomes much more problematic. But it's not voluntary. It's a legal requirement. Okay. And Article 129 of our Constitution says very specifically that the Minister of Finance must present an estimate of revenue and expenses before the end of each financial year to the House of Assembly. So it is a requirement, and the article also goes on to say that an appropriations bill must be passed by the Houses of Parliament. So government must get authorization for the next fiscal year, for the revenue measures that it wants to implement, any borrowing that it wants to make. And so, yes, this is a process that is within the realm of the law. It is not voluntary, and it's not them being nice and saying, here's what we need to do, and we just want to share all of this with you.
Yeah. Although it does seem as though they're getting authorization from themselves. But anyway.
Well, when you have a 34-4 majority, almost everything that goes through Parliament is going to be a fait accompli unless it's an absolute revolt within the governing party.
Yeah, definitely. So the government, of course, will have a very huge deficit, upwards of $1 billion this year. That means, simply put, that they will spend far more money than it collects in revenue, and will have to borrow. Unlike the United States and other places where you can simply print money, does the government have the legal authority to raise taxes or to lay off staff whenever it wants? If so, why not do so?
Well, the government in and of itself does not have the legal authority to exercise that level of discretion. What it does have the ability to go to Parliament and get authorization from Parliament when it wants to take revenue measures or borrow funds. So, for example, in the case of taxes, we have laws that govern taxes. So we have the value-added tax, we have a Real Property Tax Act. All of these are governed by acts and laws. So the government would have to go to Parliament to amend the law. Let's say they wanted, we hope not, let's say at some point want to increase VAT to 15%. They cannot, in their own discretion, do that. They have to go to Parliament. So they do have the ability to do that. And as I just said, obviously they have an overwhelming majority. So more than likely, they can implement revenue measures with the authorization of Parliament. Likewise, they can seek to borrow funds to make up for any deficits. The issue for them is for any of these actions that they take, there are consequences. And so let's say they want to increase taxes, or they determine that one of the ways to cover this deficit is to increase taxes. One, they have to determine whether the economy can actually support more taxes. In our current environment, where we have, 30-40% unemployment, that's highly unlikely that reasonably increasing taxes is going to increase revenue. Then in addition to that, which every government is always considering, there are political considerations. And, we have elections in probably within 2 years. It's unbelievable, but very soon again, this government will have to seek a new mandate from the general population. So all of those things need to be considered before governments take these types of drastic measures.
Yeah, certainly. They're meant to do so. Mayor, before I let you go, just want to swing back to the emergency orders real quick and COVID-19. Are there any circumstances under which you see an extension of these emergency orders by Parliament beyond the end of this month?
Yes, the easiest one would be a resurgence in cases. Now, I think between now and the end of the month, I'm not a prophet, but so far it seems as if we have our cases under control. There is some opening up today of additional areas of the economy, including private aircraft and yachts, etc. The real test for us is going to be after the 1st of July, when full air traffic is allowed. So it'll be interesting to see what approach the government takes at the end of the month, whether they seek to extend the powers, even if they continue to relax. Remember, they can have the power in their back pocket and still allow the economy to open. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a further extension, but with the continued relaxation of the economy.
All right, that's exactly what I was trying to get at, whether or not you have a full reopening and still have the powers.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Merrick, thank you so much for always breaking it down so simple here in Bahamas at Sunrise.
Thank you, Phil. Always a pleasure. Enjoy. Take care.
Thank you, man. All right, you're watching Bahamas at Sunrise. We'll be right back.
We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me 'cause I can count on you.
Good afternoon. First response. How can I help you?
I've been in an accident on West Bay Street. Can you send someone to help?
Yes, ma'am. A first response team will be there in 15 minutes. Are you hurt?
No, I'm fine, but a bit upset.
We're glad you're not hurt. Please, try to relax. Our team will take care of everything as soon as they arrive.
First Response provides immediate on-site service and support from the scene of an accident through the claims and repair process. And it's free to all Bahamas First insured drivers in New Providence every day for any type of accident. If you drive and want first response on your side, call 32-FIRST or visit bahamasfirst.com for the name of an authorized Bahamas First agent. First response can't prevent an accident from happening,
But it can certainly ease your mind when it happens.
Welcome back to Bahamas at Sunrise. Well, the latest COVID-19 facts are revealing that in the United States, twice as many men have been dying from the virus as women. Similarly, 69% of all coronavirus deaths across Western Europe have been male. So how does COVID-19 affect men differently than women? Here to tell us, we're very happy to welcome Dr. Robin Roberts. He's a consultant urologist for the Ministry of Health. Good morning, Dr. Roberts, and your handsome grandson, and welcome to Bahamas at Sunrise.
Good morning. It's really amazing how we can connect no matter where we are, anywhere in the world at the same time.
Yes, it really is. It has been a blessing to be able to have technology to continue the show. Of course, as a doctor and a man that's not gotten a haircut in a while, you know very well that we have been trying to follow solutions in.
That's, well, you know, I'm hoping I get to see my barber today.
Well, they should be open today, so that's good news. But we kind of wanted to talk about this impact of COVID-19 on men in the here in the Bahamas when we take a look at that in context of what's been happening around the world. Have we seen it be harsher on men here in the Bahamas as well?
Well, I don't know. I expect it to be just the same as before. I think that what we are seeing when we look at the inequalities or the inequities in healthcare, that COVID just brought it out. Just as you had susceptible populations with regards to no access to health care, with regards to the high incidence of the non-communicable diseases, high blood pressure, high blood pressure, diabetes and obesity. But what it reflects more than anything else is what we consider these determinants of health care. What are the things that actually go beyond just our own personal health? And that's what we see in men. And that is where the society comes in. We live in a society where, when it comes to healthcare, men just basically don't take care of themselves. And we do it for various reasons. First of all, there's that macho that men don't get sick. You know, real men don't need to go to see the doctor. Real men can feel, you know, we know how to bear pain. And so I think this myth about men when it comes to healthcare is that's what you were saying. And the coronavirus has really made it worse because it's given them license now. Because what the government has done is that in trying to protect everyone from getting COVID, so in transmission of the disease, we are telling them, number one, stay home. Number two, we have the hospital is closed. You can't go to see a doctor. So what we are doing then is we are adding to the problem. And so the men are just great. I don't have to go see the doctor at all. And if I do go, I can't get to see them. They tell me to stay at home. And so I think that's what we're seeing. And so it's just reflecting what exists already, that men by and large have very poor health-seeking behaviors. And that is what I think the coronavirus is bringing up.
And how exactly does it affect men differently? Is it just the death rate, or is it some sort of physiological difference between us as men and women?
I don't see any hardcore evidence that I can say there's a difference in the genetic constitution between a man and a woman. Does it reflect more the hormones? At least I haven't found that. I think in the same way when someone says, well, why should blacks be more affected than whites? And when we look at it, people wanted to say, yeah, it's the temperature, so that's why you wouldn't see it in places like Africa and so forth. We know that it's a myth. What we do know is that these are the people who have they don't have a house whereby they can isolate themselves. They have a job where they are highly susceptible in terms of whether they are bus drivers, whether they work in restaurants, and all those low-paying jobs. They are not the jobs whereby you can stay at home and work online in computers. Most of them can't afford computers and be on the internet and so forth. And then they are susceptible in terms of their whole immune system being at risk because they're diabetics or because they're hypertensive. They have poor nutritional habits, so they have weak immune systems. So I think those are the things that you see reflected, and that's what you see more in men. Just in the same way we're looking at the healthcare disparities in the U.S., and that is what they're talking about. We do not have equal access to good health care, nor are we as healthy as we should be because of an infrastructure in our healthcare system that we get poor health care. Wow. I think that's what we're seeing eventually when it comes to men. One of the things people say to me all the time, I say to people all the time, that the healthcare system, particularly in our countries, are not designed for men. Everything in healthcare is designed, to me, this is my bias, is designed for women. We talk about the whole index of healthcare in a country is measured by our infant mortality rates. So we look at having healthy baby, what that means. We have to have healthy mothers. So we have well baby clinics, we have antenatal clinics. So if you look at the healthcare system, it's designed to attract women to be healthy because they need healthy children. That's our markers in society. So that's my little pet peeve. And so I think that this coronavirus just reflects the fact that we are not at the top of the pyramid. But unfortunately, nor do we do anything as men to better ourselves. Because of our culture and the nature, we feel that that's the way it's supposed to be. Men are not supposed to do that. Being healthy and going to see the doctor and having regular checkups and all those things, that's women's stuff, not men's stuff.
So how do we change that culture?
Well, you know, we always talk about education. We always talk about trying to put in place programs to improve male health-seeking behaviors. But you know, at the end of the day, it is something that we have to be consistent with. We have to market health. You know, it's a problem. Mind you, I always like to say, I don't think that the men are any more different than women, because I can pick those areas where women equally have poor health-seeking behaviors. And one of the classical examples of that is cervical cancer. You know, women don't look after themselves when it comes to cervical cancer. They do not go and get their regular pap smears like they should, because there's no way in the world today that in the Bahamas, where we have our number 2 cause of death in women is cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is a totally preventable disease. In the developed countries, like number 15, 16. Okay, so women really can't say that they do more health-seeking behavior than men, in my opinion. So I think what we have is not so much a men problem. I think that we have a population problem, because that's our major impact in our non-communicable diseases. Women are more obese than men. women, you know, and while we might have a slightly higher incidence of hypertension and diabetes, I'm not too sure that we have a stronghold on that. So I think that what we need to look at is what are the measures in our entire country, and that is where I put on my other hat, and we say, so we need to look at primary health care. We need to look at how we can say to people, I'm going to make sure you have a doctor that you can, and we're going to put the programs in place that you're going to annually go and get your checkup. We're going to have a doctor always available for you. But more importantly, we're going to make it something that money is not going to be the impediment. So the National Health Insurance, therefore, is put in a place where at no cost to you, okay, you will have your doctor that's assigned to you that you have access to. And we put in a healthcare system now with our electronic healthcare records where we can not only make the doctor accountable, but we can make you accountable.
Excellent.
So I think, and so when we move into healthcare at a national level, you know, we can't talk about this individual person. We got to say, how do we do this across the entire population? And how do we seek healthcare service to get the best value for money? Because a healthy nation, a stronger nation is a wealthy nation. And that is the message I would like to get across.
Well, Dr. Roberts, I think you certainly brought it across this morning, so we want to thank you for joining us on Bahamas at Sunrise, and of course, we look forward to talking with you more about national health insurance as that continues to unfold. So thanks again for joining us.
Not a problem. Good. Have a great day.
You do the same. You're watching Sunrise. We'll be right back.
As disruptive technologies go, nothing has shaken up the economy more than the smartphones. Apps have completely changed the way we book taxi rides, accommodation, and food delivery. Business sectors that previously had no digital footprint are now synonymous with technology. While names like Uber, Lyft, Airbnb, Just Eat, and Deliveroo are household names around the world, on-demand business touches many other areas of life. Enterprises are trying to find ways to engage users to their services. Businesses will be forced to connect with their customers with a personalized effect. The complex user behavior needs to be tackled with enhanced conversation and better engagement. Though each of the on-demand business is different, there are elements of commonality which forms the basis of technology stack. Business and entrepreneurs just need to focus on their business operations, not technology. JungleWorks is providing complete tech stack on subscription model to help businesses grow.
Do you want to know more about the scriptures, the early Christian church, its teachings, suffering, other religions, the authenticity of the Bible? The Anglican Theological Institute is for you. Enroll in a 3-year certificate program. Classes are conducted from NASA and Freeport on Saturday mornings. Don't miss a class. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with high-speed internet. Contact us at 603-2481. Visit our Facebook page. Pick up an application form at any Anglican church or at Addington House on Sands Road. The Anglican Theological Institute is for you.
Nourish your immune system. Nourish your health. Nourish your life with Ensure. Ensure Original, Ensure Plus, and Ensure Max Protein.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Bahamas at Sunrise. We hope you enjoyed it. Just a reminder for those Father's Day greetings that you can send that video to askparker@tclbahamas.com, or you can go to our Facebook page and send us a message there if you want to send a special shout out to your dad or granddad for this Father's Day weekend. And so I am going to be signing off today for the last time for the next 3 months as I can see it. And so I just want to say goodbye to all of you temporarily. I'm going to go along this motherhood journey and see where that leads me for the next few months. And then hopefully, as my Grammy would tell me from the island, God's sparing life, I'll be back in September.
Wow, that sounds like a very long time away, but certainly we wish you the very best, you and Carlos, and certainly the welcoming of a new edition. We're going to see how number 1 handles that. You'll be sure to let us know.
I definitely will. We're gonna see.
have a safe delivery, and of course, a very happy and healthy new addition to the family.
Thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. And of course, to all of our Bahamas at Sunrise family, you can still catch Bahamas at Sunrise, actually happening back in studio this Friday And Phil will be there with our good friends, Gandhi Pinder, and loved it when Mark Daniels is on, and Mark will be with us too. And so we're going to have a great range of hosts coming in and out during my time away. But certainly tune in and make sure that they're taking good care of Phil for me, all of you.
Thank you so much. All right, listen, you guys have a wonderful week. I must say I'm going to miss being in these shorts in the morning time, but you know what? Hey, got to get dressed and get up now.
Indeed. Life post-COVID begins now. So we will see you at another time. Make it a wonderful week. Bye.